Welcome back to the weekly watch list series. In this video, we're going to be covering the week of March 14th. It is FOMC week, which means we've got a lot to be aware of, a lot of news releases this week. So, in this video, we're going to help you get prepared. Without any further delay, let's get right into it. Here we are looking at our monetary news, our fundamental drivers for this upcoming week. Tuesday, we're starting the week off with PPI numbers at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Moving into Wednesday, when we have the rest of our news, lots of news on Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. core retail sales and retail sales, 2 p.m. FOMC economic projections, FOMC statement, and federal funds rate, and 2:30 FOMC press conference. Besides that, we have no news in this upcoming week after that time period. And as you can see on screen right now is our earnings in the S&P 500 for this upcoming week as well. Here we are moving over to our charts, and once again, we have a pretty short watch list this week. QQQ, SPY, Boeing, Apple, Bitcoin, AMD, and Microsoft. A lot of our trading opportunities presented to us now in these uncertain times are intraday trading decisions utilizing the macro timeframes, which is what we're going over here. That being said, a lot of my trading is now being done on SPY and SPY alone, with the small exception of an equity here and there, Boeing being one of those. So that is just a note to you guys where if you need to narrow down, if you need to get more focused on one specific index and you can trade that better, I highly recommend doing it during this time. Like I said, times of uncertainty are a little bit more difficult to trade for most people, but tapping into an index, getting familiar with how it moves has been a really great way that everybody at OBR has been able to capitalize in these times. So, starting off on QQQ, we were talking about last week how I thought QQQ was going to bounce up higher and then move lower, which is exactly what we did. Broke this support fractal on the 7th and then fell for the rest of the week, essentially, with a small retest in there halfway through the week. Besides that, continued falling, and we're most likely going to see QQQ continue to the downside, which is going to be the same case situation with SPY. We've been moving around these levels for a good part of the week, bouncing in between 428 and 415. So those are the two levels I'm looking for this week. A break above 429.50 would be a great bullish confirmation, and a close beneath 415 would be very, very bearish. We do have a ascending support line right here to be aware of, and this support fractal to the upside. We are playing a lot of horizontal support and resistance lines, as you can see. So we have multiple resistance fractals here starting at 427 all the way up to that 429.5 level. Looking for a breakout of either direction. My bias right now is bearish, but that being said, right now anything can happen. I would not be surprised to see SPY do a complete 180 and head higher. Boeing, on the other hand, looks very, very bearish. We recently broke below our downward trending monthly channel to the downside, and we briefly came back up for a relief rally. I think that was short-lived. I think that was an ABC correction, as you can see highlighted by my white arrows here, ABC. If you're familiar with this channel, you watch these a lot. We do utilize Elliott wave principle, which is what I'm referring to right now when I say ABC, followed by a 5-wave impulse move to the downside. So if you're not familiar with those, be sure to check out our prior videos on Elliott wave theory or our bi-weekly class where we went very in-depth on the topic. That being said, Boeing looks like to be in a very, very clear ABC correction right before we head into our 5-wave impulse move to the downside to complete wave 5. So I'm very, very bearish on Boeing, looking for puts in this upcoming week. Apple looks very, very similar. We recently broke out of this ascending wedge, which we've been falling literally since we broke out. Not much resistance except for this small rally we had here, which retested our prior support level, confirming it as resistance, and this level is definitely still valid, so we're going to keep an eye on that. And then to the downside, we have our support level here, highlighted in orange, around 152. So keeping an eye on those for Apple. Again, I'm bearish on Apple because Apple's going to follow SPY. But until we get a confirmation close, there's not really too much trading decisions you can make right now. Unless we bounce up, perhaps you can get a corrective entry for the continuation to the downside. But definitely maintaining a bearish bias on Apple for the time being, at least. Bitcoin is a very, very interesting corrective pattern right now. After we hit our low, which we said on the market forecast weekly watch list, was this low at 33,190, which we came up, made a higher low here, and it looks like we are maintaining that trend. So in my opinion, it depends really on what happens in terms of the macroeconomic environment and the macroeconomic landscape, but Bitcoin definitely does look to be more bullish than bearish right now. That being said, if we break out to the downside of this corrective pattern, that would indeed be very, very bearish. So I know not a lot of decision right now in cryptocurrency while we are maintaining a bearish momentum in the stock market, but definitely worth to analyze it objectively separately from the market and see what we can collectively find. But that being said, Bitcoin is not super clear right now, looking for either a break to the upside or the downside to give us any more confidence in bias. AMD just recently broke a wedge to the downside, and this looks absolutely atrocious. I think that this looks terrible. We're most likely going to form, like as you can see here, another 5-wave impulse move to the downside. Waves 1, waves 2, waves 3, wave 4, and wave 5. We're in wave 3 right now. We just broke below this support, upward trending support channel, right? And recently retested the high before coming back lower. So AMD definitely looks bearish to me, definitely looks to be following the indices. So keep an eye out for lower prices on AMD, at least in the short to midterm. And Microsoft is in what looks to be a ending diagonal, which is a corrective pattern, which would be resulting in a bullish trend reversal. So if we do break out of this wedge to the upside, that'll be very, very bullish for Microsoft. But until that happens, there is not much to be said. We are very clearly in a downtrend until that happens, maintaining lower highs and lower lows. Thank you so much for tuning in again to the weekly watch list. I hope this provided you with a little bit more context of what to be aware of in this upcoming week in terms of the earnings and the fundamental drivers we talked about, and not to even mention the technical analysis, which pretty much points that we are incredibly bearish on all equities. So keep an eye out for that. Let's see if we can maintain that momentum to the downside, and if not, maybe we can see a reversal of some kind, which either way, I'd be happy, because as day traders, we can make money on the upside or the downside. I hope we just don't consolidate. That being said, I hope you guys pulled some value out of this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And as always, on behalf from everyone at OBR Investing, happy trading, and I will see you in the next video.